first, I'll be going on case to China war advantage in trade. And the defense industrial base disadvantage and the insurance disadvantage. Yep. China war advantage, trade, defense industrial disadvantage, assurance disadvantage. Is anyone not ready? U.S.-China war leads to extinction. Collapsing agriculture networks result in famine, terrorism, and global war. We have the most recent evidence on official statements from China from the past 2 to 3 months explicitly noting that arms sales that we make with Taiwan is at a tipping point, leading to the impacts that we've outlined. The worst part about the situation is that the negative is not spoken to is that there are no checks on the escalation that would be happening between the U.S. and China. Now, they talk about alternative causes to our impacts. Well, one, the 1NC lingua evidence is written in China accepting U.S. regional hegemony in exchange for control of Taiwan, which isn't necessary for the advantage. And second, they have to win surveillance and island fights uniquely escalate to U.S.-China war, not erode relations in order to level with Taiwan international link. They're behind on this debate. Our 1AC glacier evidence already takes their arguments into account, saying that, quote, by eliminating the scenario that is most likely to bring the U.S. and China into a large war, arms sales, accommodations would significantly reduce the importance that China places on controlling its slots. This are SLOCs. This means that all these other things that they talk about, including South China Sea, is not what is important. What's important is about the U.S.-China relation that builds because of the plan that happens in which we reduce arms sales. Now, on the Taiwan Relations Act's argument, yes, we do still have solvency. One, arms sales are assured under the Taiwan Relations Act. This means that any war scenario they bring up about U.S. and China assumes how our relations will have gotten better because we would have stopped selling arms. Two, default to 2019 evidence. This new $500 million arms deal signals unprecedented military buildup. Now, on their argument about sales are low tech, they aren't. This is uniqueness for us. The Trump deal in our from the 1AC shows that if they break from the Obama administration routine with newly approved fighter jets and submarine infrastructure. This is from our Panda evidence from the 1AC from March of this year. The deterrence arguments, first, no link. Their evidence assumes total U.S. abandonment of Taiwan, which their argument about Taiwan Relations Act proves doesn't apply. And it's about a direct pre-negotiated concession to China, which isn't the plan. Second, the plan solves. Incremental reduction mechanism buys time for Taiwan to develop high-quality military equipment. That's our Gomez evidence. Third, doesn't turn case. China is driven by fear, not strategic vision of predominance. They aren't searching to align hard power control, which proves they wouldn't act unless there were a valid threat to their interests. That's swing. On the trade advantage, concede there's no impact to economic collapse. We're not going for it. They only have all clauses to U.S.-China relations, which only proves that we're at the brink for the China war advantage. On the defense industrial DA, ally solve does not prove the assurance disadvantage because we did not read that piece of evidence. Our argument was that China cooperation solves. On to assurance. No turns case. There's no turns case or outweigh. China war is a much more likely scenario than proliferation because it's a fully developed country with nuclear capabilities. Proliferation, none of their cards are conclusive saying that war would happen just because we didn't assure countries in Asia. On the credibility theory arguments, credibility theory is wrong. We have formal treaty commitments to Japan and South Korea that carry a lot more weight than our shifting security commitments to Taiwan. This is important. That's our Gomez evidence. U.S.-Taiwan policy under Trump makes this terminally non-unique with ongoing meeting non-attendance. The story that the negative paints in terms of how war happens from U.S. withdrawing arms sales is still not a clearly painted story for you to vote negative. Credibility is dead. First, China is ongoingly seeking to reduce U.S. military presence in Asia. That'll force a reduction in commitments, which makes reduction in credibility inevitable. Improvements in A2AD make it no longer viable. Second, military advantage is eroded. It ongoingly strains the credibility of the U.S. defense commitment with increasing costs to amend armed conflict. On the link term, the plan increases assurance. It increases the capability of U.S. forces to commit to the region and further join U.S.-Japan military planning. South Korea doesn't have the option to drop its U.S. alliance and will instead work harder to strengthened commitments. And there's no proliferation impact. First is that economic and security costs makes nuclear options unappealing. That's the Stangerone evidence. Second, Japan. It's refrained from doing so for over 5 decades, abides by non-nuclear principles, presents overwhelming popular support for these principles, and Japanese politicians will block the acquisition. That's the Michizuki evidence. Third, South Korea. Non-proliferation treaty and technical constraints check their ambitions. That's the Balance and Graham evidence. And finally, no testing. It's impossible to build a nuclear arsenal without mass war and social stirs. That's the Adelstein piece of evidence, which makes it a clear vote.
All right.